It is never too late to be wise. The soul is placed in the body like a rough diamond, and must be polished, or the luster of it will never appear. Expect nothing and you'll always be surprised. Fear of danger is 10,000 times more terrifying than danger itself. Thus fear of danger is 10,000 times more terrifying than danger itself. I saw the cloud, though I did not foresee the storm. Those people cannot enjoy comfortably what God has given them because they see and covet what He has not given them. All of our discontents for what we want appear to me to spring from one of thankfulness for what we have. Thus we never see the true state of our condition till it is illustrated to us by its contraries, nor know how to value what we enjoy, but by the want of it. I have since often observed how incongruous and irrational the common temper of mankind is, especially of youth, that they are not ashamed to sin, and yet are ashamed to repent, not ashamed of the action for which they ought justly to be esteemed fools, but are ashamed of the returning, which only can make them be esteemed wise men. I learned to look more upon the bright side of my condition, and less upon the dark side, and to consider what I enjoyed, rather than what I wanted, and this gave me sometimes such secret comforts, that I cannot express them, and which I take notice of here, to put those discontented people in mind of it, who cannot enjoy comfortably what God has given them, because they see and covet something that He has not given them. All our discontents about what we want appear to me to spring from the want of thankfulness for what we have. I hear much of people's calling out to punish the guilty, but very few are concerned to clear the innocent. Thus fear of danger is 10,000 times more terrifying than danger itself when apparent to the eyes, and we find the burden of anxiety greater, by much, than the evil which we are anxious about. Today we love what tomorrow we hate. Today we seek what tomorrow we shun. It put me upon reflecting how little repining there would be among mankind at any condition of life, if people would rather compare their condition with those that were worse, in order to be thankful, than be always comparing them with those which are better, to assist their murmurings and complaining. Redemption from sin is greater than redemption from affliction. All our discontents about what we want appear to me to spring from the want of thankfulness for what we have. He that hath truth on his side is a fool as well as a coward if he is afraid to own it because foe other men's opinions. For sudden joys, like griefs, confound at first. All evils are to be considered with the good that is in them, and with what worse attends them. And I add this part here, to hint to whoever shall read it, that whenever they come to a true sense of things, they will find deliverance from sin a much greater blessing than deliverance from affliction. I know not what to call this, nor will I urge that it is a secret, overruling decree, that hurries us on to be the instruments of our own destruction, even though it be before us, and that we rush upon it with our eyes open. I should always find, the calamities of life were shared among the upper and lower part of mankind, but that middle station had the fewest disasters, and was not exposed to so many vicissitudes as the higher or lower part of mankind. Nay, they were not subjected to so many distempers and uneasinesses either of body or mind, as those were who, by vicious living, luxury, and extravagances, on one hand, or by hard labor, one of necessaries, and mean or insufficient diet on the other hand, bring distempers upon themselves by the natural consequences of their way of living. That the middle station of life was calculated for all kind of virtues and all kind of enjoyments, that peace and plenty were the handmaids of a middle fortune, that temperance, moderation, quietness, health, society, all agreeable diversions, and all desirable pleasures, were the blessings attending the middle station of life. 'Tis very strange men should be so fond of being wickeder than they are. I am giving an account of what was, not of what ought or ought not to be. I had been tricked once by that cheat called love, but the game was over. And now I saw, though too late, the folly of beginning a work before we count the cost, and before we judge rightly of our own strength to go through with it. It is better to have a lion at the head of an army of sheep than a sheep at the head of an army of lions. In the course of our lives, the evil which in itself we seek most to shun, and which, when we are fallen into, is the most dreadful to us, is oftentimes the very means or door of our deliverance, by which alone we can be raised again from the affliction we are fallen into. This grieved me heartily, and now I saw, though too late, the folly of beginning a work before we count the cost, and before we judge rightly of our own strength to go through with it. Nature has left this tincture in the blood, that all men would be tyrants if they could, is oftentimes the very means or door of our deliverance, by which alone we can be raised again from the affliction we are fallen into. This grieved me heartily, and now I saw, though too late, the folly of beginning a work before we count the cost, and before we judge rightly of our own strength to go through with it. Nature has left this tincture in the blood, that all men would be tyrants if they could,